Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful tools in Lightroom, the histogram. If you've ever struggled with getting the perfect exposure in your photos, this tool is not just your best friend, it's your secret weapon. It empowers you to analyze brightness, contrast, and color balance in real time, making precise adjustments without any guesswork. With this knowledge, you can take your photography to the next level. But before we get into the details, let's make sure you have Lightroom installed. If you haven't downloaded it yet, use the link in the description to get the latest version directly from Adobe's official site. That way, you can access all the newest features, including the histogram panel. How to download and install Adobe Lightroom. If you're new to Lightroom, here's how to set it up. Go to the official Adobe site, link in the description, and sign in or create an account. Find Lightroom in the Adobe apps list and select Free Trial to begin the download. Install Adobe Creative Cloud, which will manage the installation for Lightroom. Once installed, launch Lightroom and you're ready to start editing. Now that Lightroom is up and running, let's talk about how to use the histogram to achieve perfect exposure adjustments. What is the histogram in Lightroom? The histogram is a graphical representation of the brightness levels in your image. It displays shadows on the left, midtones in the center, and highlights on the right. Instead of relying on how your image looks on your screen, which can be misleading due to monitor brightness settings, the histogram gives you accurate data on exposure. How to read the histogram. When you open an image in Lightroom, you'll see the histogram panel in the top right corner. Here's what each section represents. Blacks, shadows, far left, the darkest parts of the image. If the histogram is bunched up on the left, your photo may be underexposed. Midtones, exposure. Middle. This is where most of the balanced tones sit. Properly exposed images usually have a well-distributed histogram with midtones spread across the middle. Whites, highlights. Far right, the brightest parts of the image. If the histogram spikes here, your image might be overexposed, meaning some details could be lost in the highlights. How to adjust exposure. Using the histogram. Now, let's correct exposure using Lightroom's tone panel while watching the histogram in real time. Adjust exposure. If your image looks too dark, histogram bunched on the left, or too bright, push too far right. Use the exposure slider to shift the brightness evenly. Fix shadows and blacks. If your blacks are too deep and losing detail, increase the shadows or blacks slider to recover details. If they look washed out, lower them slightly for more contrast. Fix highlights and whites. If your highlights are blown out, pull down the highlights or white slider to bring back lost details. Fine-tune with contrast and tone curves. Once exposure is balanced, use the contrast slider and the tone curve panel to add depth and richness to your image. Pro tip: use clipping warnings for precision. Lightroom has a clipping warning feature that tells you when areas are too dark, underexposed, or too bright, overexposed. Press J on your keyboard to toggle it on. Blue areas indicate lost detail in shadows, and red areas show where highlights are blown out. Adjust your exposure accordingly to avoid losing important details. If you're serious about mastering Lightroom and photography, subscribe to our newsletter. We send exclusive editing tips, discounts on creative tools, and insider tech updates straight to your inbox. The link is below. If you want to improve your photo editing even further, check out the video at the top right corner, where we explore another essential Lightroom feature. That's it for today. Have fun experimenting with the histogram, and I'll see you in the next one.